Hey, everybody, we're back for part two as promised. When I promise, I deliver. Well, most of the time I deliver. Anywho, I just want to say that on the last YouTube cast we did, we had our good friend, and I apologize, Jason Lynch messaged us and said that he went to all three games at Pittsburgh. Jason's quite the Met fan, as we can tell from this group. Uh, Everyone's great when it comes to the trivia and Jeopardy, but I'm telling you, Jason Lynch, and I'll give honorable mention to Harvey Porras. They rock it when it comes to this stuff. Jason, I don't know how you know so much. You're a walking encyclopedia of Met history, but I'm glad they finally won a game for you yesterday. Uh, it looked like a lot of Met fans there. It looked like it was about maybe a 50-50 ratio there, Met fans and Pirates. I know the 7 line was there on Saturday, but even still, when the TV cameras spanned the crowd yesterday, there were a lot of orange and blue there yesterday, and that is so good to see. Fortunately for myself, PNC has always been on my bucket list, and I still haven't made it there. I was supposed to go last year, but then we all know what happened last year. But I definitely want to go there. It's definitely on my bucket list, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, as promised, we're going to do these two things in segments. Hopefully 8:15 every day, unless I'm going to a Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon early start at Citi Field. I want to make it so I'm up at 8:15 doing both of these. I break them into this current date for the Mets and also this date in Met history. So if you like one as opposed to the other, that's what I'm here for you. So let's get rolling. Now, one of our favorite segments in the group is Met trivia and Met history. We're going to start with that as always. I haven't learned how to sync up the music like we did in the podcast, but we're going to try to do it without music. You'll just hear my dulcet tones. Okay, is that good enough for you? All right. Now, yesterday's Met trivia question of the day was, what three Mets have the most RBIs from opening day 2017 to July 17th, 2021? And the Met Jeopardy was two clues. On July 27, 2018, signed with the New York Mets as depth in center field, with Juan Lagares sidelined for the remainder of the season due to a toe injury, and Yoenis Cespedes out for the remainder of the season. And hit a walk-off on David Wright's final career game. So that's your Jeopardy, and that's your trivia question of the day. So good luck on that, guys. And as always, we'll give it to you at the end of the YouTube cast. Now, what we're going to do is, as we always do, celebrate birthdays. And for our first YouTube cast doing this in split segments here, we have a lot of birthdays to celebrate. Oh, my goodness. Happy birthday to Phil Cavarretta. Now, you're a diehard Met fan. Now, Phil Cavarretta was a damn good baseball player. He owned Chicago baseball. He was with the Cubs for 19, 20 years, and then the White Sox for a couple years. Well, he was a great hitter, a well-respected hitter, and he was the Met batting coach in 1975 to 78. Phil Cavarretta, born this day in 1916. Phil had a pretty long life. He died at 94, so happy birthday, Phil Cavarretta. Happy birthday to Gordie Richardson. Now, here's a good one. Maybe you guys can correct me. Gordie Richardson wore number 41, and his last game with the Mets was June 5th, 1966. Was he the last Met to wear number 41 before who joined the club? Well, anyway, Gordie pitched 2 years with the Mets, 50 games, 71 innings pitched. Only started one game, so he was usually a reliever, and he had a 5.20 ERA. Happy birthday, Gordie Richardson. He's turning 83. Dick Scott, bench coach with the Mets. Who remembers Dick Scott? 2016 to 2017. Happy birthday. He is now 59. Happy birthday to pinch hitter deluxe Mark Carreon, born this date in 1963, making him 58 for today. And Mark was a great utility player. Played the outfield, played right field, center field, left field. He was all over the place, but he was a great pinch hitter. He came through with some big clutch pinch hits for the Mets during his career. Happy birthday, Mark Carreon. Happy birthday to David Segui, a great defensive first baseman. He played with us in 94, 95. Got his most of his time with the Mets in 94, where he had 336 at-bats in 92 games and batted 241. He did smack 10 homers, 43 RBIs. Good player. He could also play in the outfield occasionally. But happy birthday, David Segui. And happy birthday, Preston Wilson, the stepson nephew of Mookie Wilson. He played with us in 1998, 8 games, 20 at-bats, but we all know that he went on to bigger and better things with the Marlins. And guess who Preston Wilson was traded with? Jeff Getz and Ed Yornau. Now, remember who the Mets got in return? Yes, indeed. They got Mike Piazza. You like the way I say that? Mike Piazza. Okay, you don't have to kiss my ass and say you like it. I'm just being a weirdo. Anyway, happy birthday, Luis Avilan. Luis Avilan, born this date in 1989, which makes him, how old, Quicks? Get out the abacus, 32 years old. He was with us in 2019, 45 games, 32 innings pitched, 5.06 ERA. Happy birthday, Luis Avilan. And finally, Jack Reinheimer, number 72 on your roster. Played 21 games with us in 2018. Played everywhere, left field, third base, shortstop, second base. Now I sound like Bugs Bunny, first base, second base, shortstop. Anyway, happy birthday, Jack Reinheimer. Wore number 72 with us. And after 2018 season, he was claimed by the Chicago Cubs. Now, as always, we go to this date in Met history. And let's go back to 1986. Let's party like we're in a Houston nightclub. Well, maybe not so fast, because things didn't work out the way I'm sure Ron Darling, Bob Ojeda, and Tim Tuffle had planned, and Rick Aguilera planned that night when they went out on this date in 1986. Now, it was the mid-'80s, and the Mets are one of the hottest teams in baseball, and they're going to one of the hottest nightclubs in Houston. And it was famous throughout the country. I never went to one, but from what I hear, it was a very famous nightclub chain. It was called Cooters. And that's where the Metropolitans decided to let off some steam. It was famous for pro athletes because the owners let the celebrity jocks drink for free. And from what I hear, a celebrity jock never turns down a drink for free. This brought them in from all sports. I guess it's good PR, home and visiting teams. And of course, it brought in more girls, and that brought more guys in, and the place was a gold mine. Now, Tim Tuffle, remember Tim Tuffle, great guy, great coach, the Tuffle Shuffle. He was a rather quieter guy from the 86 Mets team and was a father and wanted to go out to celebrate. Pitcher Bob Ojeda said he heard of this place called Cooters. Mets relief pitcher Doug Zisk had been there before. He claimed he came out of the bathroom one night and returned to the table only to find the cops waiting for him. He was roughed up a bit and says he did nothing to get himself into trouble. Sisk warned Ojeda not to go to Cooters this night in July 1986, but did they listen? Nope. So after dropping their second game in a row to the Astros in the Astrodome, Ojeda, Tuffle, Aguilera, Darling, and Strawberry all hopped in a cab and went to Cooters. Strawberry didn't stay long and left the other 4 Met players drinking at a table. Tuffle was not usually a drinker. He celebrated a bit too much and had way more than he was used to. After a night of drinking, partying, and being noticed by Texas women and sports fans alike, it was closing time. The Mets players had made some noise, attracting some attention, and wasn't appreciated by everyone. Not everyone was a fan of the Mets or anyone from New York carrying on in their bar. At 2 a.m., the Mets were asked to leave as the place was closing down. They refused to go and stayed on drinking for another half hour or so. Eventually, Ron Darling and Rick Aguilera went to use the men's room before leaving, as Tuffle and Ojeda went outside. As Ojeda went to hail a taxi, 2 Houston police officers hired for that night's security duty stopped him. Tuffle was carrying an open beer bottle, which was against the law. When questioned about it, Tuffle told the cop to fuck off, or F off. I don't know. Facebook's going to punish me for saying the fuck word. But anyway, when the officer went to grab the beer, the intoxicated Tuffle went to punch the officer. 2 bouncers pulled Tuffle away, and the officer punched him twice in the stomach. Tuffle was handcuffed, laying on the ground with the police officer's knee in his back. Reports say someone was yelling to break Tuffle's arm. Darling came out to witness this all taking place. He went to go help his teammate, throwing punches as well. He, too, was handcuffed. Aguilera and Ojeda were eventually handcuffed as well, even though they were doing nothing except trying to make the peace, especially Bobby O, the oldest, the bunch at 28. 4 Mets were taken to a Houston jail and put in a holding cell for 10 hours. Bobby O called Arthur Richmond, the Mets travel secretary, who was asleep in his hotel room. Luckily, he knew the Houston vice mayor, Frank Mancuso. And Mancuso was a former St. Louis Browns baseball player and a former brother of former New York Giants catcher Gus Mancuso. He had known Richmond from his playing days, and he got the call, made some arrangements, got the 4 Mets out of jail before the next morning. Now, Davey Johnson said, "My main rule is don't embarrass me at a ball club. This is embarrassing to the club, to their families, and to me, so I'm forced to find them." Their lawyer spoke through Mets PR man Jay Horowitz. Players involved have stated on advice of their counsel that because the case is presently in adjudication, that it would be improper for them to issue any individual statement. However, the 4 players involved in the incident would like to make it clear to the public that they feel they were unduly assaulted by police personnel on the scene, that one of the players, Tim Tuffle, was in fact severely beaten by the police. Now, there was no press waiting for them when they got out, but later that day, the story was all over New York media. Even David Letterman, my favorite late-night talk show host of all time, made a joke during his monologue. The legend of the fighting 1986 Mets was growing bigger by the day. And, as we know, the Mets were huge story at this point. Roger McDowell, the main team prankster, put adhesive tape vertically among the 4 players involved. Lockers to resemble a jail cell. A bar of soap, a razor, and 1 cigarette was put on each player's stool as well. The Mets hired a good lawyer in January of 1987. Ron Darling and Tim Tuffle paid a $200 fine and were to serve a year probation. The charges against Ojeda and Aguilera were dropped completely. Now, the police officers tried to sue the Mets for $1 million, but settled for $5,000. Cooter's Bar became a bigger tourist attraction in the next few years, but closed down in the mid-'90s. The incident involving the Mets became known as Cooter's Gate. I remember to this day, that was big news. The Mets would lose all 4 games in that weekend series in Houston. However, they would get their revenge in a much heated up NLCS series later that year, and Rick Aguilera broke the 4-game losing streak with a win in Cincinnati 3 days later. So crazy days with the Mets, huh? You betcha. Well, anywho, what else is going on this date in Met history? Well, on this date in Met history, with 1 out, a man on in the 9th, Roy Sievers hit his 300th career homer to give the Phillies a 2-1 win over the Mets. Roger Craig is the victim, and that was his 13th straight loss. This date, 1976, the Mets' Dave Kingman tears ligaments in his thumb diving for a ball in a 4-2 loss to the Braves. Kingman, who already had 32 homers for the season, will hit only 5 more after being sidelined for 6 weeks. Now, on this date, 1986, the whole Aguilera, Ojeda, Tuffle, as I mentioned, incident occurred. In this date in 2015, the Mets stranded 25 base runners, but managed to beat the Cardinals 3-1 in 18 innings. Ruben Tejada drives in the winning run with a sacrifice fly, and Eric Soup Campbell follows with a successful squeeze bunt. The Mets go 1 for 26 with runners in scoring position. Starter Carlos Martinez is pressed into service for the Cards and takes the loss, pitching 4 innings. The game is scoreless for 12 innings until Kevin Plawecki. Just saw him yesterday playing for the Red Sox. He drove in a run for the Mets in the 13th, but Colton Wong replies with a solo homer. And who remembers Roy Lee Jackson? Raise your hands. On this, by the way, I hear he's one of the toughest autographs in baseball history to get. So if you got him, congrats to you. I actually did get him at Chase Stadium. I heard he's very impossible to get. I got him on a piece of notebook paper. So that's one of my claims to fame, I guess. On this day, 1980, Roy Lee Jackson retires the last 19 batters he faces en route to a complete game victory in the Mets' 13-3 rout of the Reds at Riverfront Stadium. Now, of course, the right-hander benefited from his teammates' 20-hit barrage in the Cincinnati contest. So good stuff happening there. What else is happening in the group? Let's see. What were you guys talking about? You guys are yapping a lot in the group, and I don't even know what you're talking about. No, I'm kidding. I'm the one who doesn't know what they're talking about. But don't mind me. Don't mind me. Well, next time I'll try to be really prepared next time, I guess. Well, anywho, what we're going to do is save that for tomorrow. And next time, I promise I'll have better preparation. Like I said, we're new. We're flying by the seat of our pants, and that's not a pretty sight. But what we are going to do is give you the Jeopardy and trivia questions of the day, the answers. I know you locked them in at this point, so here we go. The trivia question was, what three Mets have the most RBIs from opening day 2017 to July 17th, 2021? Well, the correct answers are Michael Conforto with 292, Pete Alonso with 204, and Ahmad Rosario with 148. And the Jeopardy for the day, Jeopardy question of the day was, two clues, on July 27, 2018, signed with the New York Mets as depth in center field with Juan Lagares sidelined for the remainder of the season due to a toe injury, and Yoenis Cespedes out for the remainder of the season. Hit a walk-off on David Wright's final career game. The correct response is, who is Austin Jackson? And congrats to John Tierney for being the first to get that one right. Congrats, John. Good work. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Don't forget, we're playing the Reds tonight. It should be an interesting one. Great American Ballpark. The ball flies out of there. We got Jared Eichhoff, the home run pitching machine. But you never know. That's why they play the games. So it should be fun. And we'll be back to recap that tomorrow on a separate YouTube cast. We do two now. Today in Mets, whatever. I don't even know what we call it anymore. Today in Mets something, and then this date in Met history. We'll have two YouTube casts, so you can pick and choose, watch them both. But I will tell you this, if you want to come on live and participate, we come on at 8:15 every day. And the first one is talking about the day's previous events and what's happened in the current day. And then the second one right after that, where we talk about this date in Met history. So once again, thanks again. You guys have been fantastic in the group. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. And I figure I'd do it this way instead of the podcast. It makes it more interactive. You get to see me. Maybe you don't want to see me. Maybe you just want to turn the volume down. I turn the volume up and put something on overlay over me or whatever. But at least you'll see me, and we'll be live. And if you ever want to make a comment, make a comment. If you ever want to hop onto one of these, hop onto one of these. I can arrange it so you can pop on. But anyway, I want to make this group as interactive and fun as possible because we got a great group of Met diehard fans out there. So please subscribe to this podcast. You not only get the Met ones, but my Baseball Way of Life. That baseball group is almost nearing 10,000 people strong. So subscribe and you'll be updated when we're up. I'll have these scheduled beforehand, and tomorrow and all these other days, I hope to be up at 8:15. Like some days, like I said, I do go to Met games during the weekend. If there's an early start, it's going to be tough for me to do them that early in the morning. If we do one, it might be early or when I get back from the game. Hope that all makes sense. So if you need to reach me, I'm at philstan41@gmail.com. That's it for now. Enjoy the game tonight. Let's go Mets. And again, thanks for all your support and thanks for being a member of the baseball group, New York Mets Baseball Way of Life on Facebook. If you're not a member of that group and you're in Facebook, join it. It's fun stuff. All right, take care, guys. Talk soon.